Welcome to your Scream Alive channel for horror stories. We hope you enjoy it. Today's story is titled The Orphans of Carrington, Hester's House. Let's begin. The Carrington Orphanage was located on Carpenter Road, an old stone building that whispered stories no one dared to tell. Behind its cold walls, history breathed terror. With every step, she felt a strange coldness seeping into her bones. The smell of decay and death consumed her breath, a smell like wet soil mixed with the rust of dried blood. Their dreams of building a family sparkled in every corner of this stately building. But those dreams were shattered when their first child was stillborn. They were devastated, especially Hester, who never recovered from this terrible loss. In the end, Paul left Hester, leaving her alone in the spacious house, isolated in her grief. She began drawing horrific images in her notebook, images of herself and her family vomiting sticky black liquid, and images of herself cutting her hand with a knife. And when Elisa actually fell ill and vomited sticky black matter filled with worms, Carol argued desperately, how could Elisa know any of this? It was Donna McCready, a woman whose face showed the wisdom of many years of insight. You and your family are in mortal danger. You must leave this house now. Your children, especially the youngest, are in grave danger. Carol tried to listen to her, but Ben, who had just returned, rudely dismissed Donna, accusing her of being crazy. I'm so glad you called. What happened? Donna asked, realizing the magnitude of the disaster from the tone of Carol's voice. Carol replied, her eyes wandering over the dark horizon of the Carrington home, which now seemed like a living, breathing evil. I can't call the police anymore. My husband is still there. How much do you know about this house? And saying that, Teddy, the seller of the house, had not told them the whole truth. She knew that the evil in Carrington Orphanage had awakened once again, and that it would not rest until it had devoured every soul within. Hester had found a new family to torment, and the real battle to save her daughters' lives had only just begun. Darkness had spread, enveloping the entire house in its cold grip, and there was no escape but to face the evil head-on. She wasn't there, and this drawing shows what happened before it happened. Ben dismissed it all, attributing it to stress, a child's vivid imagination, or perhaps simply delusion. A few years later, in a fit of shattering depression that robbed her of every shred of hope, Hester ended her life by hanging herself in the dark basement of the house, consumed by despair. She saw no one, but the voice was very close, creeping into her bones. She returned terrified, her face pale as death. But Ben remained adamant in his denial. This house is haunted. Possessed. Are you listening to yourself? You're exaggerating, Carol. Ben's words were like successive slaps to Carol, who felt loneliness creeping into her soul. The 5 minutes stretched into an eternity in that pitch darkness with no end in sight. She refused to leave the place, condemned to wander the cold corridors of the house, tirelessly searching for the dead child she never knew. Donna said before disappearing, leaving Carol a card with her phone number, as if giving her one last glimmer of hope. It may not look like much from the outside, but wait until you see the inside. While he and Carol were busy inside, Elisa heard Chloe the dog's screams from outside, cries of pain mixed with terrifying howls. When they went outside, they found Chloe brutally murdered, her body torn apart, her eyes staring into space with eternal terror. It was only then, in the face of violent death, that Ben's eyes were finally opened to the true horror that surrounded the place. Ben said enthusiastically, trying to instill optimism in his wife Carol and their 2 daughters, the sarcastic teenager Zoe and the wide-eyed little Elisa. Zoe, with her moody disposition, likened the place to a place where vampires live, but she didn't realize how close she was to the truth. Little Elisa, on the other hand, saw something far beyond that, things that words cannot describe. Whispers of unexplained child murders in the area linked Hester to her, as if the loss of her child had driven her into a vengeful frenzy. An old rocking chair, which Ben had seen himself in the basement among the rubble, suddenly appeared upstairs, moving slowly in the darkness. When Ben tried to move it away, an old cabinet mysteriously fell on him, leaving him with a painful bruise and a sore head, as if the house refused to have its furniture rearranged. Carol, who was trying to start the laundry in the basement, froze in place when she saw a small ball covered in blood roll out of the pitch darkness of the basement, stopping at her feet. "No, I don't see anything, Carol. Stop scaring Elisa." Ben shouted, accusing her of making up stories, angry at her attempts to disturb his supposed calm. Although official records cleared her of these charges, the townspeople knew the truth in their hearts. To them, Hester was a cold-blooded killer, an evil spirit seeking solace in the suffering of others. Cold whispers that her ears did not hear, but her being felt, surrounded her. Blurred images danced before her eyes, pale faces disappearing into the corners of the room with every heartbeat. When she returned, she was not the Sarah they knew. Her eyes were empty, her face pale as if all color had been drained from it, and her silence screamed what words could not express. It was as if she had left part of her soul there, or brought with her something that should never have seen the light of day. Every stone, every corner, every shadow carried the echoes of ancient screams and maniacal laughter. 3 girls, Sarah's friends, were found brutally murdered, their mutilated bodies left as offerings to an unknown entity, the perpetrator. Sarah Thompson, the 11-year-old girl who wielded a butcher's knife and took their lives with a coldness that did not match her innocence. 4 years later, Sarah succumbed to a fit of madness and despair, ending her life by her own hand. She claimed until her last breath that she was haunted by the ghost of the house's original owner, Hester Corbett, who had never left her side since that night in the basement. On Sarah's 11th birthday, the girls, Jenna, Missy, and Katie, pushed her into a terrifying challenge that she did not know would seal her fate and the fate of many others. 5 minutes, Sarah, 5 minutes and you're out, Jenna repeated with a wry smile, carrying a mixture of schadenfreude and hidden fear. Sarah descended the corroded stairs, which seemed to lead her to an abyss with no end. A few days later, the orphanage became the scene of an unbelievable crime, turning the innocent chatter of children into terrifying screams. The house, later known as the Carrington Orphanage, was built in 1896 as a cozy, love-filled home for Paul and Hester Corbett. Local legend has it that her soul never found peace. After decades of silence, Benjamin Harrison bought the building at an unbelievable price, as if it were a gift from heaven. It wasn't long after they moved in that strange things began to unfold. Little Elisa was the most affected by the invisible entity. One stormy night, while Zoe was walking in the woods surrounding the house, she heard cold whispers calling her name from among the trees, whispers carrying a hidden threat. Suddenly, without warning, a strange woman appeared in the driveway of the family's car. "This man is not your friend, and you need to get out of here as soon as possible because terrible things are happening in this house." It wasn't long after Donna's departure that the major disaster struck, destroying Ben's last bastion of denial. Carol called Donna, her voice trembling, barely able to speak from the shock. Donna sighed on the other end of the line. A lot. More than anyone should know. If you liked the video, please subscribe to the channel.